everybody, Lawrence here. I'm going to hit you with another one. Now this one's going to be a little bit quick, and I have a, if we all, see if I can get this to focus, recognize this slimy green goo. This is moss paste. Now I've actually shown you how I make moss paste before previously, but this time I wanted to actually run you through the process, the application, and the highlight of how I make it stand up a little bit more than normal. So it's a simple, easy process, but this is how I make my moss paste, because there's a lot of times where I like to put moss paste just for variation in color and to hide mistakes and cracks and all that stuff, but simple, little, cheap, easy, really good tool to have. All right, before we get to it, I want to give a big thank you and shout out to my patrons. With your guys' help every month, makes doing this just so much easier, and I can't thank you enough. All right, let's get to it. Okay, here I've got all the ingredients I need for my moss paste. 4 different colors of Woodland Scenics Fine Flock, some Italian seasoning, and an empty container. I'm going to put like maybe a third of the Italian seasoning. I got the herb idea for moss from Dungeons and Chronics. I think he uses pure seasonings for his, but I started off doing the mixture, so I kind of combined the two and put my own spin on it. But check his channel out. I'll put a link below. And I'm just eyeballing the amount, trying to keep it kind of even, to keep the different shades of green sort of even, just so there's a variation. Of course, a little bit of the earth, a little bit of the burnt grass, a little bit of the green grass, and a smaller amount of the yellow. And to save myself a little bit of effort, the next step, I'm going to mix all the dry ingredients together. Now that I got all the dry ingredients, time to add the Aleene's Tacky Glue, or PVA, whatever you want to do. But I'll add small amounts and just mix. This can be a pain in the butt and try and keep neat. But you don't want to add like a whole bunch at one shot, small amounts. Because if you add a whole bunch at one shot, you run the risk of adding too much. You want this is a texture paste, not texture goo, if that makes any sense. But again, I just add small amounts, mix, scrape off the sides, add some more glue, until I get to a point where I'm happy with the consistency. Now, this will come with trial and error, but I'd like to get it to a point where it doesn't look like nasty, cruddy, but won't settle right away on its own. It'll actually stand up for a little bit before it actually starts settling. That's where I go. I don't know how else to describe it, but yep, that's it. Now I am adding a new piece of parchment paper down, because the previous one was a little cruddy and I needed to catch some flocking. So, and go to my beater brush jar or can here and just take a brush and then just start painting on the moss paste. Anywhere there's cracks and crevices, or anywhere I just think, hey, I need a little bit of splash of color. Now this works especially well if you're painting like dungeon walls and stuff, because you can direct it right into the cracks and crevices and make it look like it's growing up through the cracks. But here, I'm just adding it wherever I think, why not, And yeah, it's a little gooey and kind of hard to get into play sometimes on the brush, but it's absolutely worth it. And if there's like gaps between places that you're like, oh no, I did that, this is perfect, because it will cover up gaps and cracks. Because, yeah, I did have a crack there in the DOS clay, so I was like, I can either leave it or cover it up. Guess what? I'm covering up the cracks. And I'll add some more here and there, just to let it go. Now, and of course, got to put some on the tree. Now that I've got all the moss paste on that I want to add a little bit of highlight. I'm going to use the yellow fine flocking and just do a light sprinkle over top of it, because it tends to be, moss paste tends to dry a little bit green, over green, even though I added all the different colors. So I just want this to make it pop a little, just the tips and whatnot, just brighter. So I'll sprinkle this on while it's still wet, tap it off, and then boom, I'm done. Not a wholeheartedly difficult process. And here is why I put the parchment paper, fresh parchment paper down. I got a bunch of flocking here that I don't want to throw out, so now I can just fold it up and then funnel it right back into the container with the yellow fine flock. So, boom, done. Easy cleanup. Parchment paper, it really helps. Or any kind of paper, really. As you can see here, I got moss. None of that yellow sprinkle I put on top really makes it pop. And the actual moss looks a little bit on the slimy side, but that's fine. It's moss. It grows in dark, mossy places. Hey, if you watch this far, it means you watch the end. And as always, I can't thank you enough. I said, this was just how I make moss paste. There are many different ways. I know I still took a tip way that Dungeon and Chronics, he made his moss paste using like different mixed herbs and stuff. There's just so many different ways. This is just how I do it. So, and if you like the video, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more, click subscribe. You know what? Share your recipes for moss paste either in the comments or come to the Discord and share them there. I would love to hear how you guys make your moss paste, and because hey, I'd love to try it out, see if I like it. But as always, guys, remember when you're making terrain or stuff to add to your terrain, the only person you got to worry about is you, because it's your terrain.